Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Z. Come wine with me, WHINE. Today, I'm going to whine about and give review and commentary on the show Married at First Sight, season 14, episode 6, titled Dark Side of the Honeymoon. Let's get into it. We're not even 10 minutes in. Okay, so the couples are on vacation, or on their honeymoon, in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Now, they usually have a scene where everyone wakes up and they kind of give a debrief of the previous day, and just they do their morning video diary. Katina and Elijah Wan wake up, and it seems like there's an allusion to them having consummated their relationship, because they said that they're going to go ride horses, and Elijah Wan makes some comment like, "Oh, I want to see if she can ride a real horse," or something like that. You know, something crude, because that's all he can ever really talk about is sex. Poor Chris. This man gets up alone yet again, and he says something to the effect that Alyssa wants him to behave as a husband, but she is doing everything in her power not to behave as a wife. Whatever. The man is sad and lonely and dejected and rejected. I feel for him. We now have Mark and Lindsay, one of my favorites. Hot Mess Express. They wake up, and as we know, last episode they had a mini blowout because Mark expressed a desire to want to slow things down and not to want to be all lovey-dovey and blah blah. This is what I'm gonna have to say about Lindsay. For as under the influence she can be, she does tell the truth when it doesn't necessarily come to her own life, right? She read Mark, and I agree with her. You want to not be lovey-dovey, you want to be organic, take things slow, blah, blah. Then why did you consummate your marriage? Come on, use your brain. So now he wants to backpedal, and don't get me wrong, I understand why he wants to backpedal, but I also understand why Lindsay laid into him, because, I mean, it was fair. I say I understand why, and I think it was fair of her to express herself in the way that she did, because, yeah, I mean, if you wanted that, why didn't you say that in the first place? Your behavior isn't matching up with what you're saying now. But anyhow, it appears that they've talked through that, and they are working to, I guess, reestablish a baseline for their relationship. And I just got a little giggle out of them going to breakfast and deciding to pray. And because I was like, yeah, they don't need a hope and a prayer for this relationship. And they started talking about family, religion, and whether or not they would want to, or how the other would feel about raising kids with religion and blah, blah, blah. And Lindsay establishes that she would like to have a large family. She says 1 or 2 kids, maybe 4, definitely not 3. Ma'am, how do you think you get to 4? I mean, do you really think you could just get that? Now, I guess you could if you decided to adopt, right? If you just decided to, adopt multiple children at the same time. But if you're looking to birth through the natural process, how do you just skip 3? I don't understand how. I don't know what her thought process is behind that, but I just thought that was weird. Yeah, definitely not 3, but yes, I would like to have a large family. Definitely not 3, 1 or 2, maybe 4, but definitely not 3. Punch that air. So Elijah Wan and Katina, both of their first times ever riding a horse, and she is, asking that Elijah Wan takes the horse that is more aggressive and likes to be the head horse, being out in front. I guess the alpha horse. And so, Katina is behind. She's like, wait, slow down. So that, she's nervous. This is her first time doing this particular thing, and she's not into animals, whatever. Rather than attempting to calm his wife and be understanding, he instead badgers and belittles and says, oh, if they were going to throw you off, they would have done it before, and blah, blah, blah. And says, don't listen to the lady, do this, do that. He's just very patronizing. And in his confessional, he says, well, I'm not going to stop living my life just because, somebody else is uncomfortable, blah, blah. Sir, you decided to enter a marriage. Do you really think that marriage is supposed to revolve around you? See, this is why I don't like this man. I really do not like him. His mentality is juvenile. He's really like supporting my theory. As the season progresses, we'll see if he makes any progress, if the experts are able to work on him. But he's really, really self-centered. And to say that, oh, I'm not gonna stop living my life because somebody else is uncomfortable. You mean to tell me that you as a husband don't feel that part of your responsibility is to ensure or to make an effort to, help your wife be feel comfortable in different situations? Like, ew, you are not husband material. You just aren't. And that is just not even about being a husband, it's about being a significant other. Like, you aren't spouse material. I highly dislike his mindset because I think I've seen it in far too many people. Also, like, I see it in Alyssa. But we're going to continue. I really hope that we'll see how things go. Who does that man think he is? Somebody's life coach? He was like, I'm always going to push you. And Katino is trying to explain to him, I'm going to need for you to learn when it is appropriate to be encouraging and trying to help me get past a limitation that I might have placed on myself, or help me get past nerves or whatever. But I need you to also recognize when I'm genuinely scared and upset, and to back off. And he basically doesn't relent or doesn't seem to understand. He's like, oh, I'm always going to push you. That's a red flag. Like, if I am telling you that this is what I want and this is what I need from you, and you say, well, now I'm going to do this. Okay, you're going to be doing that by yourself or with somebody else, because that's unacceptable. Now we're at Alyssa and Chris. So Pastor Kyle says something to the effect of they see the struggles that Alyssa and Chris are having to connect, and in order to reinforce their process, they encourage them to do an activity together. I'm reading between the lines that production was like, listen, Heffa, why is you here? Listen, you need to go to these events you signed on the dotted line. Are we gonna have to get legal on that ass? That's how I'm interpreting. That's how I'm interpreting it. Either way, the activity that they're going to share together is to play tennis together for the day. Alyssa comes in with flip-flops on. She comes onto the tennis court with flip-flops on, clearly showing how committed she is to actually making an honest attempt to participate in this activity with her husband. They then finish playing tennis, sit down to chat, and Chris brings up the next step, which is to move into one another, which is to move in together, and ask Alyssa how she feels about that and her thoughts are on that. And during the conversation, he makes a comment about, being, when he entered the process, being committed and in service of that. He was about to continue, and she stops him and catches an attitude. It's like, well, you're basically insinuating that I wasn't committed. Girl, we see you're not committed. We see with our own eyes that you're not committed. Like, stop gaslighting. You're gaslighting all of us at this point. The people you didn't even know you're gonna be gaslighting. You gaslighting. And then she says something like, oh, what did she say?
I don't feel like it's fair. And kind of a bump.
She then continues to have her audacity to say that she feels that she's being robbed of the experience, and it's not fair. Can I start calling her Karen Alyssa? I'm gonna start calling her Karen Alyssa. That's her new name. Because she's the victim here. Definitely the victim here. Not the perpetrator. Of course, she can't be the perpetrator. She's got to be the victim. Because things aren't going her way. Yeah, so she continues to talk about how unfair this process is to her. And, that hurts her deeply. Poor, very put upon Karen Alyssa decides that she wants to live in the apartment. And it's completely unfair that Chris also plans to live in the apartment as well. I mean, how could he be so unfair to expect to move into the apartment with his wife in Married at First Sight? A project where you agree to be married at first sight and move in and try to get to know and relate to a person that you are deciding to marry at first sight. So unfair. So it seems to me Alyssa is trying to finagle a way to move into the apartment and get Chris not to? This woman doesn't make any sense. She doesn't make any sense. Let's continue. So then she tries to turn it on him and say that, you know, he wants to move in, and knowing that she's uncomfortable with that, like, basically she's trying to get him to agree not to move in. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna move in. You can move in too. That's totally fine. But she was trying to make it seem as if by him agreeing to move in, that automatically means that he is saying that she can't move in. She's totally trying to mind fuck the situation. And it's getting disgusting at this point. It's really disgusting. But I'm gonna continue with the trials of Karen Alyssa. So Karen Alyssa continues the conversation. Well, no, she discontinues the conversation, because anytime you bring up a point that she can't, you know, have a reasonable retort to, because it's clear that she's being unreasonable, she just walks away and acts like the other party is being mean. And so production runs after her to talk to her, and she says something so effective like, oh, he doesn't have to be unkind and blah, blah, blah. It's like, he's just having a regular conversation with you, and it's clear that, like, he was just trying, he was just asking a question, and she got triggered by a simple question, because it is clear that if she answered that question, it would reflect poorly upon her. And so now she's in the corner crying. Oh, and something else that's funny is that she mentioned basically that, she goes, oh, it's not fair that, you know, what if I want to see the other girls, and, you know, basically because he wants to move in, I can't. And how did she even get to that conclusion? That because he wants to move in, she can't? Like, is she dumb? Like, the man just said, I mean, that's the whole point of the process for us to move in together, so you can clearly move in. But she's trying to get a situation where she has access, gets to move into the apartment without him. And especially so that she can continue to hang out with the other women. Girl, so what you're saying is you want to spend time with the other ladies, understandable, but solo? So you just want to hang out with your girlfriends. You can wait until this process is over with. You can wait. I don't see, it's as if she tries to create lines of contention where there's no contention there. You created a conflict in your own head. There is no conflict here. Now Karen Alyssa is trying to paint herself out to be like a DV survivor. Like, so they're both in, you know, talking to producers separately, and she looks over on his part of the tennis court, and she's like, look at the gestures he's making. It's so aggressive. The gestures weren't toward her. They were toward, like, he was talking to one of the producers or the cameramen or whomever associated, you know, who's in the background. Yeah, everything this man does irritates her soul. And listen, I can understand her not being attracted to him. I noticed myself that Chris has titties. I mean, Chris has titties. He's an A. He looks like he's an A cup. He's dumpy. He's not the best looking guy, but it does not mean that you can't, like, literally, like, spend time in his presence. Like what is wrong with you, girl? What is wrong with you? Does his breath stink? Like, I'm not understanding why she hates this man so much, and now she's trying to make him out to be some evildoer. It does not make sense. You're not attracted to him. We get it. So what? No one says you have to sleep with him. You don't have to. But merely just spend time with him, like, get to know him, have a conversation. Like, is everything so difficult for you? Like, why is everything a hassle to you? I don't understand. Wipe your tears, girl. You look stupid. Noy and Steve go to the waterfall. Noy is afraid. She's not particularly outdoorsy. And so she gets into the water and is nervous. And Steve is very, like, Steve is an example of really being supportive, unlike the Elijah Wan and Katina segment, where Elijah Wan was just being abrasive and chiding her for, you know, feeling any or expressing any concern or fear. Steve, you know, encouraged Noy, say, listen, I got you. He puts his hands under her and supports her in order to let her, you know, lean back into the water so she can get more comfortable and just feel more comfortable and feel that, like, she has his support and he's not going to let anything happen to her. And I think that is a show of how you support someone and while pushing their boundaries a little bit, pushing their boundaries with their consent, and also be supportive of encouraging and helping them move and push past a fear. That was a good example of how to do that in a constructive manner. So I thought that was a nice scene. Unfortunately, a fish bit his toe, and so he all that support went away for a little bit. But Noi, I think, took it in a stride, and she understood what happened, and they seem really happy and so far to be in a good place. So there's a brief scene with the couple Jasmina and Michael, and Elijah Wan and Katina. They've taken a shine to one another as couple friends, and so they sit down and kind of just talk about whether or not how their process is going. Basically, they ask one another, and they discuss how the process is going for them as a couple so far. And the question comes up of whether or not they are able or starting to see why they were paired. And Jasmina and Michael mentions that basically he sees the similarity of he and Jasmina being very opinionated. Jasmina says, they have a lot of things in common. They kind of have, they share similar foundational beliefs, and so she could see why she didn't name anything in particular. She just said there are a lot of things, and so she could see why the experts put them together. And then Michael says, yeah, we both are opinionated and speak with conviction, and blah, blah. I understand what Michael's saying. Unfortunately, opinionated has a negative connotation. I think if he had just said, we both speak with conviction about things that we really believe in. But when he used that word opinionated, I was just like, oh, because, they had their little beef and disagreement. So I was just like, tread lightly, Michael, please. And I know I don't think he was trying to be malicious in what he was saying, but I could tell, you could tell Jasmina had a reaction when he said that, what? And so she was ready to go, and she basically said something to the effect of, I feel like I'm able to look at things from both sides, whereas he is narrow-minded. And I was like, oh, I hope we don't backpedal in terms of your progress, because I was just like, I really don't think Michael was trying to take a dig in what he was saying, but I think Jasmina took it that way. She still has her eyes on him, so anything he says, I think she might be a little sensitive to. We're at Lindsay and Mark, and Mark is getting calls all times of day as if from a bill collector. Come to find out, it is his landlady who he has known for a very long time, and I guess it's like a mother figure to him or something like that. And something is fishy about this story, because what we get from Lindsay is that the landlady changed the lease and wants to, while they're on their honeymoon, she changed the lease and wants to, put him out because she changed the lease to reflect that we no longer have cats, and he has 3 or 5, something like that. He has cats, mini cats. That doesn't make sense from a legal perspective. It just doesn't make sense. You can't just unilaterally change the lease. So unless they have a month-to-month lease, and it doesn't take changing that, it just takes her saying, I don't want to renew for the next month. And if that's what's happening, then that sucks that she would do that during while he chooses to do that while he's on vacation, if that is the first time he's hearing about it. But also, I would think in most jurisdictions, that's not something that can have immediate effect, given how it was done. But yeah, something just seems fishy about that story to me. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, something's not lining up with that story. So here you have a situation where this man claims that this woman, who is his landlord, that he's known for a long time, is like a mother figure to him, has chosen to bombard him with calls while she knows he's on his honeymoon, because she wants to unilaterally change their lease agreements on the spot. She decided on a particular day to do that while he was not available to talk about it, and while she knew he wasn't available to talk about it. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. Something is up. But anyhow, Lindsay then, talks about how she's a mama bear, she's got him, and he can move all his cats in, and blah, blah, blah. That's a red flag. Something is not straight about that story. Is Mark homeless? Did Mark know before going into this process? Did he have some type of rift with his landlady and think that going into this process, this would afford him free housing for at least, a month or so while he, has time to get his life together? I don't know, but something about this story ain't hitting like it should be. It does not make sense to me. So we move on, and of course we have the insufferable Karen Alyssa talking about telling production how she doesn't want them to make her look bad. Girl, you've done that all by yourself. Perfectly. Perfect job. All by yourselves. You got that down pat, girl. Down pat. Perfect job of looking like an a-hole. Gonna continue. This girl acting like she's a victim when she's really just an evil parent. But just told us she was a good person and she was taking the high road. This is what the high road looks like to you, girl. This is what the high road looks like to you. She is insane. She's why are there so many crocodile tears coming out of this woman's eyes? She's crying. She's talking about, I'm being a good person. I'm a good person, and I'm being so kind, and I'm taking the high road. I'm not seeing what conflict she actually has with Chris. She's acting like there's some big beef between them when really she just doesn't find him attractive and does not want to be in this process anymore. But she wants all the perks of this process, like the free trip to Puerto Rico and a place to stay. But she don't want the husband. Which, listen, girl, you could just finagle it in a way where you spend a little time with the husband, you have your free trip, have your blah blah. But to act like you cannot literally be in the same vicinity as this man, I don't understand. Just wear your sunglasses the entire time. It'll dim your view. Like, she is, she's ridiculous. She's ridiculous. And I don't know how production is stomaching her, honestly. I need Karen Alyssa to look up the definition of fair, because she clearly does not understand what that means. And it's like, this show was called Married at First Sight, not Single at First Sight, because Karen Alyssa is sitting up here trying to talk to production like they're dumb, and that she's been basically issued an ultimatum that Chris is moving in if she can't. She's acting like she can't move in if Chris moves in. Like, what is wrong with her? Like, I really don't understand. If Chris moves in, you could take the couch if you really don't want to be in the same room with him. Maybe there are multiple rooms. If there are multiple rooms, you could take the other room. If there's only one room, you take the couch. The whole living room. It's really, she's making it more difficult than it is, and I'm gonna go ahead and blame the parents. So even during her little diatribe, she tells production that her mom thinks she's being mean and that she, is not giving things a chance, but at the same time wants to chastise production and says something to the effect of, like, if I'm not portrayed in a positive light, I'm gonna be effing pissed. Like, girl, is there a way to portray you in a positive light? Is there a way? I don't see the way, because you have not shown us anything positive. Maybe your wedding dress was not it, but even that wasn't my favorite. But Jasmina's was my favorite. That was my favorite wedding dress. I thought hers was the best, prettiest, more my taste of the dresses there. Lindsay's was nice too. I wouldn't have, it's not my taste, but I thought it was flattering her. Anyhow, where are we? Oh yes, Karen Alyssa. So Chris is talking to his people, and he's talking about how Alyssa's whole family is basically told him that she's a brat. They didn't use that word, but they basically told him she's a brat and that he's perfect for her. And so I'm getting the sense that I'm wondering if Alyssa's people encouraged her to sign up for this process so that they could pawn her off on someone, basically. Because it seems like even her own people recognize her extreme limitations, and that she has outbursts and that she cries all the time, and that honestly, some of her behavior, I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to diagnose her. I'm actually going to wonder and encourage her to be diagnosed, because maybe she has some type of mental issue that is not being talked about, or her mental issue could just be entitlement, and her parents never put a foot in her behind growing up and gave her everything she wanted, and now as an adult she thinks that the world is supposed to revolve around her and can't fathom how that is not the case, because she's an extreme parent. That's a great show idea. Extreme Karens. I'll ponder on that. See if I can get somebody to while they were filming, her talking to production and basically, you know, complaining and telling them how upset she would be if, you know, if she was portrayed and that she finds out she's being portrayed in a poor light. You know, she will want to speak to a manager. She says that she hates him. She told production that she hates Chris. Hates. How do you get to that strong of an opinion about a person when, from what we're hearing from Chris, you all aren't even having conversations beyond the surface, like beyond service conversations? How do you get to hate? What we really have is a situation where there's a little girl, a very entitled, bratty little girl in a grown woman's body who did not get what she wanted. And instead of having the cojones, or, you know, the ovaries, to woman up and tell the truth about how she feels and why she doesn't want to continue the process. She wants to, I hate this expression, but I'm going to say it because, you know, everyone understands it. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Hate that expression, but everyone knows what it means. It's just a stupid expression because when you have cake, you're supposed to eat it. I don't understand. But anyway, but yeah, she is clearly not fit for this process, and she clearly is very immature. My girl Junkie, I mean Lindsay, she stays hitting the nail on the head. She says, you know, Karen Alyssa, she's referring to Karen Alyssa, judging a book by its cover. She doesn't want to put in the work. She thought that she came into this process just thinking somebody was going to hand her Prince Charming, her perfect husband, and when she didn't get that, she peaced out. And she said she's probably likely Lindsay stated something that I think probably has some merit, and she said Karen Alyssa is probably going to look back on this someday and kick herself because she's going to realize that she had access to a man who would put up with her. Basically, this is not what Lindsay said, but she, you know, basically saying she all of the qualities that Karen Alyssa wants in a man, she's going to realize those qualities were in Chris, and she's going to kick herself for treating him the way she has and for passing him up. And they also, Mark and Lindsay, you know, give Chris props for being so mature about the situation and, you know, still having such a willingness to continue and work on things and to, you know, just be true to the process. He knows what he signed up for, so he's willing to give it his all, even in the face of, you know, monster like his wife. So yeah, and I do feel bad for Chris. I do feel bad for him. You know, I would say he deserves better than this. You know, so Katina and Jasmina, in this very short process, clearly, you know their friend Karen Alyssa, because they also nail it in that she just clearly isn't attracted to a man and has not told him that, and hasn't told him that. That's what it boils down to. She's not attracted to a man. And Karen Alyssa said something to the effect of she would have rather the experts had told her that they didn't have a match for her than to have matched her with Chris. Now, I said in my first review of this season, well, not review, I think it was the one where I did a couple's prediction. I completely understand having deal breakers. And she was given a deal breaker, which kind of sucks, right? It wasn't wise on the part of the team, the Married at First Sight team. But at the same time, why would you sign up for this process? This is not a situation where you have paid a matchmaker. You're not paying them. You have given over and handed over your decision-making ability in having a spouse. You've handed that over. And so, and in a situation where you are not paying these people. So, to me, it's like, yes, I understand what she's saying, and I don't want to fault her for that completely, but at the same time, I'm going to fault you for putting yourself in this position to a certain degree and not even having the decency to at least play the role, play the part. You're not attracted to him, okay, but that doesn't mean you treat him like crap and just completely not give anything a try, not even attempt to even have a conversation with them. Like, honestly, it's kind of just inhumane the way she's treating him, I feel. And for someone who loves animals so much, I mean, you don't love the human animal, because this is not how you treat people. Jasmina and Michael going to the waterfall, there's still some tension between them. I really appreciate how Michael really seems to be giving an effort. I'm not saying that Jasmina isn't giving an effort, but you can tell she's still hurt and reticent about opening up, and just still more staying guarded. Guard is the word I was looking for. She's still guarded. And so, Michael tells this story about getting beat up by a bully when he was in 3rd grade. He got beat up by a 6th grade bully. And, then goes, "Can I get a hug?" I think that was his way of trying to, just get her to let down her walls. Something that concerns me about Michael is that an ongoing trend is that he's had a lot of trauma in his life. And while that isn't his fault, I hope that he understands that he should get some professional help for that, because I'm wondering if, because listen, we didn't see the disagreement between he and Jasmina. We've only heard about it through them, their secondhand account. We didn't get to see it firsthand, because it happened, I guess, when, they weren't filming. And I'm wondering if it's a situation where Michael, while he is in normal settings or whatever, he's fine, but when he is angered or agitated, whether he explodes, whether, all those whether he has a lot of triggers, that would be unforeseeable to another person, will he fly off the handle? Is that something you have to be on guard for? That's what I'm wondering. I don't know that, but that's what I'm wondering, because like I said, Jasmine still seems to be really guarded around him, even though they seem to have squashed the beef from days before, where he chastised her for cutting him off mid-sentence, when we know from the camera roll, when they played it back for the viewers, that didn't occur. All right, let's continue. The couples get together to discuss how things are going, and someone asks the question, was there anything you had to overcome as a couple during this time? Because their time at their honeymoon is coming to an end, and they will soon have to go back to the States to move in together. So someone asked whether there's anything that they had to, any difficulties in the relationship they had to overcome, something like that. And when they get to Alyssa and Chris, Karen, Alyssa, when they get to Karen, Alyssa, and Chris, she decides to tell the group that she loves them, and she wants to be able to continue in this process with them. So she's come up with the scheme of moving in for the first half of the process, and then having Chris move in for the second half of the process. So she moves in and then moves out, and then second half of the time, Chris moves in to complete the rest of the process. I don't understand how she doesn't understand that that's not what this is about. It's great that she's made friends, but if she's not willing to put in the time to work on her marriage, she needs to bounce. Like, I don't even understand how she doesn't understand this basic concept. But that seems to be the case. And Lindsay, while Alyssa is talking, says, "I need a drink." And this is one time where I'm gonna go ahead and agree with her. Go ahead, girl, have a little sip of something, because this is effery at its finest. You're correct here. This is effery at its finest. Junkie's clearly fed up with Karen and Alyssa, and I'm here for it. Chris finally puts his foot down, and says, "I'm either all in or all out. I didn't come here to split time. We're not a divorced couple. Like, I came here to be married and behave as married people, or to at least give this process a chance," basically, is what he says. And here we go with Karen Alyssa in her confessional. "He's trying to make me look bad. I don't know how you could be so mean. I'm trying to come up with a solution to our problem." Now, apparently, this is the first time he's heard of her quote unquote, her solution. It's the first time he's heard of it. So she didn't even have the decency to express that as an option before telling the entire table, and basically what she did is try to make him look bad if he didn't, denies that. She's like, well, I'm trying. I came up with an alternative, and here he is saying no. She does her very darndest to make it seem as if she is the victim in every situation. It's maniacal. And so what is also pretty interesting is that Chris has expressed that he actually likes Alyssa, character Alyssa, which is very surprising to me. He might be disappointed with, her desire not to want to make an attempt to get to know him and see where there might be compatibility, but he has expressed that he can see why they were matched. He likes a woman who knows what she wants and ambitious and, whatever, driven, and he has expressed that he would actually like to continue to get to know her, which he might be a special brand of crazy as well, or maybe just desperate, because ain't nobody gonna treat me like that. No. I think I would have bounced already. Chris has shown extreme persistence and perseverance. He literally said, he tells Karen and Alyssa, if you show 1% interest in trying, I'm all in. And she can't even give an answer. She has the nerve to be like, well, you expect me to make this decision in front of everyone? You just made the decision to tell everyone that you wanted to move in for half the time and have him move in for the other half of the time. Like, everyone can see you're BSing here. Everyone sees that you're bullshitting. Is she an actress? Like, you know what? I can't even ask if there are really people like that, because I know there are really people like that. I do. I've come across people who are really that arrogant and entitled. So I think that I'm also going to say that while I can appreciate that Chris is still so willing to take any crumbs that he gets from Alyssa, it might be indicative of having low self-esteem, because you teach people how to treat you, and you showing, some might say it's patience. And I'm not going to say that they're wrong, right? But I personally attribute it to low self-esteem, because I can't imagine myself accepting that poor treatment. You can't even have the decency to sit down and have an entire conversation about why you feel, that there's incompatibility. You can't even give that basic information in a situation where you have signed up to be in a process like this. I'm sorry, patience, to me, that speaks to extreme low self-esteem. And listen, I know that I have alluded to not finding Chris attractive. I stand by that. I don't find him attractive. So what? There is someone out there for him. There's more than one person out there for him. And in fact, I think that, if I got to, well, he's not my type, but, I'm sure that if I got to know someone like him, I could eventually warm up to him, because to me, looks aren't everything. I can recognize that a person might not be attractive initially, but over time, there's certain qualities they might have that I might start to find attractive, and be able to look beyond the physical, because I care about character more than anything. I care about intelligence, I care about character, and those things will supersede looks almost every time. Like I said, there are limits to everything. You can't be super fugly, super duper fugly. Yeah, nobody want to look at a booger wolf, but Chris isn't a booger wolf, right? I don't find him attractive, but he's not a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Like, let's stop. He is not so ugly and scary looking that I would not be able to sit down and just simply have a conversation with him. I mean, that is like the basic bar of human decency. What really makes the situation feel abusive to me is the fact that she keeps behaving as if he is the one that is not making an effort. He is the one that's being unreasonable. He is the one that is, just not trying, or just being so awful to her. That is what makes this situation abusive to me. Elijah, on his confessional, just gave a whole sermon I completely agree with. He was like, this is what you said you wanted. This is what love looks like. This man embarrassed himself in front of everyone for you. You know, just basically pining away and saying, whatever you want, I'm willing to do. Because you just heard me say this is like a confidence issue. Because ain't no way. Like the lengths that he's willing to go through to make her feel comfortable and to show that he's in this. It was heartwarming and heartfelt too. I mean, I don't feel like he's putting on a show. But, hear from Karen Alyssa, when she's in her, confessional moments, she's like, he's trying to make me look bad. Baby, them lip injections already done did that for you, okay? The weak chin already done did that for you, okay? Your poor character has already done that for you. So no one needs to try. You were doing a perfect job on your own. Congrats. I can't be convinced that production doesn't see the game that Karen Alyssa is playing here. I think they see the game she's playing. It's evident. It's the good old, I'm going to be a terrible person, despite the 11 times, the 1,000 times that she has reminded us, the 788 times precisely that she has reminded us that she's in fact a good person. It is very clear she cares about her image, but not enough to actually be a good person. And she is trying to run the age-old con of, I'm not going to say it, I'm going to make you say it. So that's the con she's trying to run on Chris. And that's pretty clear. Anytime he asks simple, basic questions, she gets super triggered, gets up, walks away. Production, we hear them ask at one point, are you willing to ask Chris whether or not he's willing to give her more time to make a decision? And that's what tells me that production, you know she's on some BS. You know she's on some BS. I hate to say this, but I mean, Chris is kind of showing that he's here for it. Like, he's willing to remain in this process. And to be honest with you, like I said before, I don't know whether or not there's some type of a clause in their contracts that penalizes them for ending the process early or something like that. But it's very clear to me that Alyssa is not here to do what she's supposed to do. So trying to encourage her to stay longer seems to me like production wants to keep her around because they know she's TV gold. That's how it's seeming to me. I don't think that they are doing any editing tricks at all. We see her, not even reluctance, her flat out refusal to answer basic questions, to tell this man where there's incompatibility, to answer whether or not she wants to move in with him, to answer whether or not she's willing to give 1%, just 1%, to making an effort to get to know him and, see if they could find compatibility. It is very clear that the issue is her and that she does not, she's pretty much said it at the table. Like, she wants to continue the process because she likes the other couples, because she, has made friends here. It is clear that she wants to continue the process to be connected to her friends, to remain connected to her new friends. And I think on that alone, it's production. It's time for them to step in and lay down the law, and since they're not doing that, to me, it's because they know she's TV gold, and they want to continue to squeeze out more drama from her. Because it's really cool at this point. And she keeps saying, I'm a really good person. She is the exact equivalent of the nice guy. She is a horrible human being. But if she says she's nice, then I guess you're supposed to believe her. And if she says she's nice, then that should automatically mean that she should get whatever she wants, because she's nice. She's established the basic bar of humanity and human decency. So she just deserves to get everything she wants. Truth is, she's not nice. She's a terrible person, a terrible human being, and she doesn't deserve. No one does. No one gets everything they want. No one is entitled to everything they want. That's part of the basic human condition. So, we pretty much end with that. Her, yet again, storming off whenever she's asked to account for her behavior, her actions, her thoughts, her deeds. Karen Alyssa, go to hell. Go straight to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect the $200. Go straight to hell. Okay. Thanks for whining with me, and until next time.